For a sensational side that is super hearty, I'm making my sausage and wild rice hot dish. It's so creamy and loaded with savory sausage, earthy kale, and the chewy star, the wild rice. Wild like the ladies tonight. Ow, ow. It all comes together in my brazier. I'm starting with 1/2 pound of Italian sausage, which is just a straight shot to flavor in a hot dish. Love that I don't need to get out the whole spice cabinet. It's got that fennel flavor in it. I'm breaking it up with my spoon into little bits. Sausage in a hot dish is so good because the creamy element of a hot dish is sort of like gravy, so you get kind of sausage and gravy vibes. This is browned. I'll pile in my veggies. I've got a couple of leeks that are super thinly sliced, just the white parts and the light green parts. And I've soaked these to get rid of the graininess that can sometimes get stuck in the tight layers. Got a good pinch of salt and allow these to soften down. I love leeks. They're so great in a hot dish. They add such delicate, sweet, oniony flavor. Oh, it smells delicious. I'll pile in my kale now. I've got a bunch of dinosaur kale that I've just torn off the stems and given a rough chop to. This will cook down nicely and have that great earthy bite. Another pinch of salt, and I'll allow this to cook down and get soft. The first hot dish I ever had when I moved here was my mother-in-law Roxanne's turkey wild rice hot dish. She baked it in this big mixing bowl, and I saw it and I was like, I don't know about this, but then I tasted it and it was so comforting, so flavorful, and so delicious. Hot dishes know that they're not really about the looks, they're about what's on the inside. I know she's gonna love this one too. My meat and veggies are done. I'll transfer them to a bowl so that I can just use this same brazier to build my sauce. And if you don't have an oven-safe brazier like this to build a whole hot dish in, you could just transfer this whole mixture to a casserole dish and plan to bake in that. I'll keep this heating. I'm not even gonna wipe it out before building my sauce because all the brown stuff stuck to the bottom of the pot harnesses so much flavor. And I'm just gonna build a basic roux, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Let this melt. And this is essentially my homemade version of a can of cream soup, which is what you typically see with a hot dish. 2 tablespoons of flour to help it thicken. I'll whisk this together and allow it to cook for just a minute or two so that that flour flavor can cook off. And then I'll gradually whisk in 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And I'll do this in a few additions, allowing it to thicken before adding more. And you wanna do this gradually so that the sauce doesn't break, so it stays together in that smooth, thick texture. This will just be the binder that holds together all of the sausage and kale and wild rice. And then I'll also incorporate 1 cup of chicken stock for flavor. And again, I just want to do this super duper gradually to yield the smoothest texture of sauce. I'll season it with some salt. And then a little nutmeg is always nice in a cream sauce. It's that hit of warmth. And I'll add my sausage and veggies back in, as well as my wild rice. This is 1 cup of wild rice that I've rinsed and then cooked until al dente. And I like to throw in a bay leaf when I cook it to infuse it with herby flavor. It is quite healthy too. So this is basically a health food. I'll fold this all together. Now, all the best hot dishes get a pretty topping. And plot twist, this one has 3 toppings, 2 kinds of cheese and crackers. I'll sprinkle on a layer of grated fontina. Fontina is so creamy and melty, and it also has a bit of funk, which I love about it. I've got it all the way to the edge so that I can get kind of crispy around the edges. Some Parmesan for salty depth. I've got my butter crackers here in a zip top bag that I'll just crush up with my hands. I'll just take some anger out on them. I'll toss them with just a drizzle of oil, which will help them brown in the oven, and pour them all over. Spread them out evenly. Yum-o. This looks so good already. I'll finish it in the oven now at 400 degrees for 20 minutes until the crackers are golden and the edges are bubbly. This is a dream side dish right here. It smells like it's about to get wild in here. Oh yeah, that smells so good. Look at those golden crackers. I'll finish this up with a sprinkle of parsley and dive in for a taste. The perfect ratio. It just explodes with flavor. And the chewiness of the wild rice with the crunchiness of the crackers is so delightful. A hot dish for a bunch of hot dishes, what can I say? My mother-in-law over for a fancy dinner, so I'm pulling out all the stops. For dessert, I'm making my lavender panna cotta with grape syrup and pretzel shortbread. It's custardy and floral, and it's got sweet, salty, crunchy cookies for dunking. I just infuse some cream with lavender, set it with gelatin, and then whip up the easiest food processor shortbread. I'm starting with my lavender. I've got dried lavender buds here, which lends such a beautiful, delicate flavor. Two things to keep in mind when you're using lavender though. If you use too much, whatever you're making will taste like soap, so don't use too much. I'm using a heaping tablespoon. Also, whenever you're buying it, you wanna make sure that you're getting a culinary grade lavender and not one that's destined for potpourri or some kind of craft, because those could be treated with chemicals. I can actually find mine in the tea section at my local grocery, but you can also, of course, order it online. And then I'll pour in 2 cups of heavy cream and 3/4 of a cup of whole milk. And that's a really nice ratio for getting it creamy, but not overly rich. 1/3 of a cup of sugar is just enough to make it sweet and desserty, but it's not gonna be full on ice cream sweetness. A pinch of salt to bring out all the flavors. And then what makes lavender really shine is some lemon. And I'll get some big pieces of the lemon zest here so that it can infuse into the cream. Just use my peeler. Ultimately, the zest in the lavender will be strained out. I'll whisk this around to dissolve the sugar and then heat it gently until I can start to see bubbles forming around the edges and steam coming off the surface. You don't want to let this boil or scald. Panna cotta is an Italian dessert that's literally just cooked cream that's thickened with gelatin. It's silky, it's like a custardy pudding, and it's a great canvas for flavor too. There are so many things you can do with it. Lavender is such a nice, delicate flavor. It's an easy way of infusing some true specialness into whatever you're making. You just can't add too much of it, otherwise you feel like you're eating perfume. It's happening. I'm seeing the steam, I'm seeing the bubbles. I'll turn the heat off now, and then just allow this to steep while I get my gelatin ready. I'll just combine 1/4 cup of water with 2 1/4 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin. You can also use the gelatin from a packet. I'll just give this a whisk to allow it to bloom, and doing this step as opposed to just adding the gelatin to the hot mixture prevents any clumps from forming. Anytime I make panna cotta, I think of gelatin salad, which is still alive and well in this region. People make fun of it, but then I'm like, panna cotta is just a more socially acceptable version of gelatin salad. Gelatin is bloomed, and now the lavender buds and the lemon zest have done their job. They've lent their flavor to the cream. I can strain them out now. If your cream has cooled during the time when it's steeping, you do want to reheat it before adding it to the gelatin. You want the liquid to be hot when it combines with the gelatin so that I can actually melt the gelatin. Strain this right on through. Oh, it smells so good. I feel like I'm in France. I'll give this a quick whisk. Make sure that gelatin gets evenly distributed. I'll grab my serving glasses. Just have these cute little cups here. Just dividing the cream evenly. I love panna cotta because everybody gets their own individual little cup. Perfect. I'll let these set in the fridge for 4 hours. You could also go overnight and top with grape syrup. Wow, that is one easy peasy, fancy schmancy dessert. To give our sweet dessert a salty spin, I am making my pretzel shortbread. It's buttery and crunchy and the perfect companion to the creamy panna cottas, and it could not be simpler to make. It's just 3 ingredients that all go into my food processor. Starting with my pretzels, I've weighed these. These are 240 grams of pretzels. I like to weigh them just because depending on what shape of pretzel you have, they might measure out differently in measuring cups. And 2/3 of a cup of sugar. I'll process this until it's very finely ground. I'm essentially making pretzel flour. This looks great. You definitely want to make sure that there aren't any bigger clumps of pretzels because those could cause the cookies to fall apart. 1 cup of unsalted butter, just straight into the processor. This was actually one of the first recipes I ever made for my blog. I went through this phase of using pretzel flour and things, and it just blends that super unique alkali flavor of pretzels. That was the easiest dough ever. I'll scrape this down onto a piece of parchment and then shape into a long, skinny log, like a big, sweet pretzel salami. I'll use my bench scraper to press the parchment. This helps even out the dough and round it. I'll wrap this up. I'll chill this for an hour, slice and bake at 350 degrees for 20 minutes until they're crisp. I can't wait. It smells heavenly in here. Let me get the shortbread out. The salt makes them look a little sparkly. I'll let these cool while I plate up my panna cotta. To add a little color, I'll finish with some syrup. This is just grape jelly with some water, lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. I just cooked it until it dissolved. And just a very thin layer at that touch of elegance. I'll nestle the shortbread right next to it. It almost looks like a fancy cookies and milk situation. These little guys are just to impress.